You're all good.
Hi, Alladin. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you.
Can you please introduce yourself, tell a bit about your work, and just for us to have that bit?
Yeah, I'm Alladin. I'm the founder of Bitcoin Trading Cards, or formerly Bitcoin Trading Cards. We are rebranding now to Based Trading Cards.
Nice. Good. Perfect. So, my first question is what motivated you to create Bitcoin trading cards and use trading cards as a tool to teach about money, freedom, and the flaws of the current fiat system?
Yeah, I would have to say the simplest way to explain that is having a conversation without having a conversation. All of these topics, when it comes to money and politics and government or any of these things, it's not conversations you want to open up with just about anybody. We have our close friends, Bitcoiners that we love to have these conversations with, but beyond that, trying to educate someone on Bitcoin or just how the fiat system works, that's opening up a huge door with a lot of complications. So the trading cards to me were uh, just an easy way to have that conversation with someone without actually having to talk to them. They can rip a pack open and start to kind of digest one card at a time with these topics. And it's really about empowering people when you're trying to educate them and giving them the power to ask you the questions. So when we open up these conversations, uh, usually we come with the power, and you really want to give that power to the person you're trying to teach so that they are able to ask those questions and feel more comfortable, especially when it comes to a lot of the monetary topics. You can feel inadequate on these things when you don't know anything about it for the first time. So you don't even know what questions to ask. Well, the cards are perfect little tidbits to open that door for them.
Yeah, and that's very cool. And one question that I actually have that it's not here, but I think that it would be very interesting to know is that you mentioned that you have kids. I know the trading cards are mostly for adults, like people are very much on that. But have you tested out with kids yet? Like, what kids think about it? I know, like, it's very interesting to see that in general. What is your perception on that with the new generation?
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon cards are one of the biggest trending topics among kids nowadays. And the first monetary exchanges we had was usually on the playground with trading cards, toys, and things like that, little collectibles. So it really is a great door opener for children. They don't have to go in and start reading immediately. It's just the artwork alone is powerful enough for them to want to collect because of the art, because of the rarity, the numbers on the back of the cards for how scarce they are. It's meeting them where they're at, and it's been really, really good with kids so far. It's been amazing seeing. We go to these different trading card events, and you see the kids in the hallways ripping the packs because we give away tens of thousands of Bitcoin trading card packs, and to see the kids going through the cards and the topics, I know that they're looking through are very heavy, and they're into it. And they may not be into the topic on the back of the card, but art is a universal language. So yeah, so far it's worked really, really well to again just open that door and not push it, just open it.
That's super nice. I really like that. I personally have a lot of siblings. I really can't wait to show them the Bitcoin trading cards. I got some here, so when I go back home, I'll definitely show them. And one thing that I really wanted to ask as well is like for you, what were the biggest challenges on like launching this product, especially starting, like with bear market and then going bull market? Like people are very still triggered to those topics and to those aspects. So, what was that for you and for you as an entrepreneur doing that? How was that experience as well?
Well, I spent a good 4 years, actually more, I think, So I got into Bitcoin around 2016 and started learning, and I really started pushing on this project around 2018, launched in 2022. So about 4 solid years of trying to put together what this would look like. And the number one thing we're trying to do for the Bitcoin community is capture the culture. And if we want to see movement into the general public, it's not going to be through long-term or podcasts. It's not going to be through giant books. I mean, people just don't read these much anymore. Obviously, Bitcoiners do. Obviously, there is a certain segment of people that do, but the majority of people, they're TikTok. They're give me 30 seconds, 60 seconds max, and it better be good if it's 60 seconds long. So these were all the things that I studied and lived and breathed to try to digest how I could come out with this and be successful out the gate, because it is a startup and I don't have big funding. So it's one of those things where it either has to work or I'm in big trouble. So the biggest one was, I think the biggest hurdle in the Bitcoin space is we tell everyone, sell your chairs. Like, you're supposed to put every dime you have into Bitcoin. So how do you get someone to buy a product when you're supposed to be just buying Bitcoin and stacking sats? That was a hell of a hurdle. But at the end of the day, it's being able to capture the culture again. And one of the coolest things I love about the cards is a lot of these cards, especially dating back to the beginning, you have evidence that you were there. And we all know as Bitcoiners where Bitcoin is going in the future. So to be able to show our children, our family, whoever it is, 5-10 years from now, just how early you were in. And it's not about number go up. It's about how you were one of the first people to have faith in something new and take that risk. And beyond the number go up, that is something to be incredibly proud of. So these cards is a way to capture that, and it's physical. So it's not like, hey, check out my cool JPEG. I was around when NFTs dropped. I don't see a whole lot. I know there's a lot of people that love that. Personally, I don't really see the lore in that. But having something physical, you were there. And especially like a lot of these cards, we work with some of the biggest people in the entire space. So you can get your card signed at different conferences, running into different people, whether it's Lynn Alden or Michael Saylor. I mean, all the different people we put in there, they're signing the block height on there. And it's really that token of I was there. And I think that's something really special that we have with it.
Yeah, so you tackled in some really cool stuff there. I think that when we really talk about the aspect of being there, we know how important that is to the Bitcoin community, and especially crossing the chasm to a more mainstream approach of Bitcoin. Being there for the right reasons, having the people in. You did mention something that for me is very important. That is people buying stuff with Bitcoin and putting all in and stacking sats. How do you feel that relationship is within the Bitcoin community of like stacking sats using fiat versus stacking sats and actually, migrating to a more Bitcoin future and trying to actually live off of Bitcoin? Are you more on the adoption side or more on the stack sats approach?
I think there's a balance to both. And again, I think it depends on where you live and the tax implications. I fully believe that we should be using Bitcoin, but at the same time, I am not a big fan of taxes whatsoever, and it's a taxable event every time we do that. So if you're Bitcoin rich, by all means, you should be living on Bitcoin. You can probably afford either a really good CPA or afford the taxes they're charging you. If you're not Bitcoin rich and you're just the average pleb, I think stacking sats is really, really important. And the more you get, the more you start to understand that you have a chance to really get there. Get there meaning you only need, I think it's 0.21 is kind of my roundabout number that I've come up with. I love 21. So if you can come up to 2.1 million, or not 2.1, but 21 million Satoshis, then you're in the 1% of anyone in the world that will really ever be able to own that. And that's if it was evenly dispersed throughout the world. So you have your Michael Saylors, you have your massive companies, literally entire countries that are stacking sats that a lot of these are probably not going to let them go. You have OGs that are sitting on some pretty big stacks of Bitcoin, not sats, Bitcoin. So if you start looking at it in that way, then even owning 10 million Satoshis, you're probably in a hell of a good position. So again, for the everyday person, I recommend just stacking sats and trying to build that as much as you can. There will come a point where the circular economy makes a lot more sense for the everyday person. So I think it really just depends on your personal situation.
But for you as an entrepreneur, so I want to tackle in both. We're going to go through Geyser and talk about a bit of the donation side of it and like the crowdfunding side with Bitcoin. But for you as an entrepreneur, would you recommend, for example, if you have a business like you have it, to accept Bitcoin as a form of stacking sats? Because I think that's a very interesting approach to it in a sense.
100%. So this is the way that I look at it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that would completely disagree with me. Um, I will spend my sats if I am spending it on a company that is stacking those sats. If they have to turn that into fiat to use it to pay the bills, then I'd rather just give them fiat, honestly. And that goes for like the different companies that are now accepting sats. What was the big one? Steak and Shake. Everyone was running in there. I think that's amazing. I love the fact that there's more companies doing that. Me personally, unless Steak and Shake is actually holding those sats, I'm not going to spend my sats on. I would rather just give them fiat. And I think that the same goes for me. We definitely take Bitcoin payments and we try to stack that and not spend that as much as we possibly can. But I'm also in more of a startup stage where right now we've been blessed, we've done really well, and we haven't had to really dip into that. But in a startup, you definitely, if
Yeah.
you need the money, you need the money. So again, I think it really depends, but for what Geyser's doing and these smaller pleb companies, I think supporting stats is really, really important. It is pushing the circular economy, and you're not going into a potentially $1 billion or a company that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. What is your Satoshi really mean? Where the people that are working on the Geyser platform for projects, I mean, it's actually doing a hell of a lot of work. And maybe the $50 you spend today is only $50 fiat terms, but if that small company is stacking those sats, then this could be in a year or two from now a lot more fiat value for them to be able to use towards their business. So I feel like personally I would support a smaller business with my sats any day versus a large business.
That's very cool. I totally agree with your approach. I personally actually do a lot of Bitcoin content on spending Bitcoin in everyday stuff, bigger stores, smaller stores. I think it's very important to people to know that they're able to. It's like, it's nice, as you said, like it's nice that they are accepting, but definitely I feel like that's a very interesting approach to really think if they're stacking those sats or they're fiatizing it. But now going a bit on Geyser, so tell me about your experience in general, like with when you first started your crowdfunding there, how that impacted your business and your experience overall with that.
Yeah, I mean, Geyser is one of my favorite, if not my favorite business in the space. Shout out to Panties for Bitcoin and Shamory. Um, those three companies are definitely the companies that I feel personally, after being in the space, I think 8, almost 9 years now, they are the true ethos of a Bitcoin family. And everyone at Geyser has just been incredible. And they're giving the plebs inside Bitcoin the opportunity to build. And this is what we have to do. It's a collaboration. I love to say that we are the marketing arm for Bitcoin. Why is everyone asking me about XRP and Ethereum and all this? I won't say the word. All these other altcoins. I try to stay as PR safe as I possibly can. But all these other altcoins that are out there, why are so many people talking about them and relating it to Bitcoin? Well, because they have literally hundreds of millions of dollars in available fiat from what they're able to mine from their coins to spend on marketing. Where in Bitcoin, we are the marketing arm for Bitcoin. And the only way we're going to succeed to get to the general public is if we work together. So companies like Geyser, I mean, it's the number one company, in my opinion, that is giving the ability for anybody to be a Bitcoin entrepreneur and have the opportunity to get out there in front of so many people. And just the way that you guys do it is, it's the right way. You're not charging out the wazoo. MetaMick has been absolutely incredible with how he treats his community, and we're all just really blessed to have you guys building in the space. And you're not building for you, you're literally a company that is building for the Bitcoiners, the circular economy. So yeah, very biased because I launched on Geyser, and I'm obviously a big supporter, and I like to feel like I'm a part of the family. I brought him into the booth, a Geyser into the booth in Vegas, and gave him a part of my booth to just be there and represent, because it's an absolutely amazing company, and this is how we succeed, is coming together.
For sure. And one thing, as you said, I know that you launched on Geyser, and it's such a cool story. So cool that the partnership that you guys have built throughout the years as well. And one thing that I wanted to ask is how the engaging supporters, so you guys have a lot of like followers there, like people that support in general throughout the years, how that impact and shaped you in like your community, but also your product and your creative process since the beginning of, you know, launching, and even like there in general, like the people that support you there, like how that helped with your creative process and the ongoing stages of like Bitcoin cards, and like now with the rebranding and everything.
So on Geyser, the people that are on there supporting these small businesses, these are, to me, it's the extension of the Bitcoin family. Again, I think it's really difficult in the Bitcoin space because it's all about stacking sats, and it's really hard to get Bitcoiners to kick down and release some of their sats to support a project, which I completely understand. But this is where the important work happens, and it is the smaller companies that are going to make the impact to the general public. Nothing against the larger companies in the Bitcoin space. There's so many amazing ones, but they're more focused on the big money coming in, big companies, governments, everything like that, which is great. We need it, but I'm more focused and worried about getting your mom and pops involved, getting your everyday person involved, and the people that support on Geyser, Brad Mills. I mean, there's just some incredible people that are supporting almost every single project that comes on, because they never know what project is going to be the one that pushes Bitcoin adoption forward faster than any of these multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin companies that have popped up. So that extended community, extended family that is on Geyser, that supports the way they do, it really, to me, it's like if someone came in and they asked you, all right, who's the really good, really, I don't know if I want to say cool, but like, who are the people in the Bitcoin space that are like the truly honest, real Bitcoiners? And I would say go on Geyser and you'll see the people that are supporting the businesses there. And those are the first people that always come to mind to me, that are pushing the true vision of what everyone claims their vision is in Bitcoin. Fix the money, fix the world. Well, empower the rich and make them a hell of a lot richer. And I'm not talking about your middle class. I'm talking about people that are already worth 20, 40, 50 million to 100 million to $1 billion. Empowering them is not going to fix the world. I don't care how great Bitcoin does. And again, that's just my opinion, but you want to fix the world. It starts at home. It starts with your everyday person. And that's where the true fixing the world begins. So
Yeah, and I think one point that's very cool about Geyser that it really caught my attention a lot is the fact that also we can help, humanitarian causes, people that are doing a lot of great stuff all over the world. Because I feel like sometimes when you're using like Kickstarter or just like a fiat crowdfunding platform, you're very limited on like, currencies and like how we can help. So I think that's a really cool thing about Geyser as well. But yeah, talking a little bit back or tackling back a bit about Bitcoin cards and like what you guys are doing. So you did spoil me a little bit on the rebranding, but like what are the next steps or aspirations that you guys have? Both personally and generally, as you as an entrepreneur, but also you as a company. And can you tell me a little bit more about those next steps with the rebranding and everything, and when we'll be able to see that on Geyser so we can help you guys as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, changing the company name from Bitcoin trading cards to base trading cards, man, quite an ambitious move for sure. But again, the ultimate purpose of what we're trying to do is bring in the everyday person. And the whole idea behind this was like, it's a Trojan horse. It's an orange pill in a pack, but it's a Trojan horse. And when you put Bitcoin in the front, and this is why originally, my original name for this, which probably was not a good name, and it's a good thing I pivoted right away, it was Freedom Adoption Cards for Trading. Because I knew that there was going to be a battle in the beginning trying to get the general public into these cards when Bitcoin is at the forefront. And again, you mentioned Bitcoin, and with all of the government adoption, everything that's happening, I've literally been on meetings with different artists from around the world that straight tell me, they're like, once we get in the meeting, they go, well, I'm happy to talk to you. I was actually a little bit concerned because I thought you'd be wearing a mega hat when you came in here because you're a Bitcoiner. I'm like, oh, what do you mean by that? They're like, well, isn't Trump like the creator of Bitcoin? Like, didn't Trump do something to like help make Bitcoin? And I'm like, holy shit, we have a problem. So taking Bitcoin out of the name so that you can really approach people and give them the knowledge and education about Bitcoin without scaring them away right out the gate, I think is really important. Over the last couple of years, I think Bitcoin has started to get a really bad name for itself because of the political connections that are being used with Bitcoin right now. As much as government adoption is great in some ways, in other ways, it's really dangerous because, again, you get different people that assume different things about it, and there is no marketing arm for Bitcoin except for us. So we, as Bitcoiners, have to be really intelligent about how we go out and talk to the general public and how we frame Bitcoin. And all the framing over the last year and a half, about a year and a half since Trump came to Nashville has been, it is right-wing, Republican, Donald Trump coin. And that makes it really difficult for your everyday person to come in without assuming that, because most people are just caught in the social media loop. So, or just mainstream media loop. So changing to base trading cards, I think, is really important because it allows us to put out same education, same content, but be a lot easier to digest at first glance. And I'm really excited about this launch. I can, if you have any questions on that, and then I can go into some really big things that we have on the way.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more. So, do you guys, what you can spoil with that? And also, as you mentioned, just tackling in something before, you said that you worked with many artists and you kind of like put that in a little bit. Uh, you can talk about from like the collaborations and everything, like how do you approach those artists, like the people that how you choose also the people that you put into the cards. What is your main approach to it when designing the cards in general?
It's a lot. So when it comes to putting people in the packs, that has been dangerous since day one because all people are fallible. It's been really scary, honestly. Putting in people that have passed is a lot easier because we know unless something just comes out of the woodwork or out of the closet that we didn't know about, it's a lot safer. And this was my big concern, and actually different collectors' concerns from the beginning. Like, what if you put someone in there and they become a shitcoiner? What if you put someone in there and they end up doing some really shady stuff, or rug pulling, or creating a company and then again rugging all of their community? Then you have this card of them, and you were basically giving them your approval. So we are definitely tapering back on that as the Bitcoin space gets bigger and everything is growing. Making sure that we are a lot more specific about how we approach people. So far, we've done really, really good being in the space as long as I have. Getting to meet, I think, almost every single one of these people in person helps a lot. It's not about how big of a follower base you have. It really just comes down to, have you shown that you are a good person in the space and you're putting out good content? If you're trying to sell something other than a really good book, we don't really put you in there. It's not about that. We don't charge to put anyone in the pack. We don't charge to put brands in the pack for resources. All of that is just done because we feel like they are a good resource for people to find in the space to help them on their journey. So we definitely do a lot of vetting, and usually they have to be someone that I have watched many times and I've seen their content, and I know to the best of my knowledge and ability that they are in it for the right reasons. But even with that, again, we're tapering back on the people for sure.
Well, that's super interesting. And so now we can go back a little bit on the next steps. You said that you're taping back a bit on the people. It's very interesting to see your approach to that. So you're doing the rebranding. What else we can expect with the new collections? Like, what is popping?
Yeah. So Series 3, that came out at the beginning of this year. That was Warriors versus Villains. And I think we pushed the envelope harder than any trading card project that has ever come out, to the point of actually getting a couple emails saying, hey, maybe you need to tone it down just a bit, because the Villains, we kind of pushed that envelope pretty hard. So if anyone's out there looking for incredibly based trading cards that we probably won't be able to push the limits quite that hard again, especially trying to go mainstream with this, that would be the set to get, and we're almost sold out, very little left. That is our flagship. It's Orange Pill in a Pack. That's the one time a year. We call it the Lamborghini of trading cards, because we put more into these trading cards than literally any other trading card project on earth. And we've won awards for this, best print quality. I think we spend 3 to 4x, maybe even a 10x on average compared to your top trading cards in the world, because of the time, the quality, the artist, everything we put into it. So what is coming next for that is about a month from now, we're dropping Series 4, and that is the simulation. So we'll be pushing the envelope on that again. I'm definitely a big fan of the Matrix theory. I have been for about 15 years now, and we're going to be pushing a lot on that. So the art is going to be amazing, and it'll definitely be one of those sets where the cards are going to make you think. There's definitely a lot to dig into with these cards, and that's the whole point of what we're trying to do, is just spark some critical thinking that is definitely lacking throughout the world right now. And Series 4 set, we are pushing. I mean, we pushed the envelope on Series 3 to where we actually, again, we won a couple championship awards for the best quality product. And we're doing another 10x on that quality when it comes to Series 4. Pushing the envelopes. We have the #1 trading card printer in the world, and we've built amazing relationships with them. So together we're like, okay, how can we create this to literally win as many awards as possible throughout the entire space, and take on Pokemon, take on Panini, take on Magic the Gathering, obviously not community and company size, but take them on in the way of the quality of what we're producing, from the artwork to the physical cards themselves, to how the collectors perceive these cards, because it's an experience. I mean, it's nostalgia that we're trying to bring back from our childhood. So is there something we can do to these cards to like put a smell in them, to where like when you rip it open, you look really young. So I don't know, maybe you've never climbed inside of a car from like the 60s and the 70s or back, but there's a smell to those cars that just for older people like me, it triggers something in our psyche, and smells are like some of the most nostalgic triggers we could ever have. So how do we introduce that into cards? How do we make a card that is like a fire Bitcoin card literally glow when you get it warm with your hand? How do we make a cold wallet turn to ice when you get it cold? All of these different things that really just push that experience and hide as many Easter eggs in the product as possible, to where every pack you open, I don't know if you're into trading cards, but normally you open a pack, oh, that one's cool. Like, you're just ripping through it. And most of those cards you're really not even interested in. We're trying to make it to where when you open a pack, every single card you pull out, you're taking your time, and you love it, and you don't want to let it go, and you don't want to throw it away. And that's your piece of history being in this space. And the more you covet those cards for Bitcoiners, the less you need. And I really like that, because I want people to collect. But our ethos and one of our catchphrases we use in our community every day is stack sats before packs. It's not about trying to get someone to buy a crazy amount of these cards and be some crazy collector. It's really like, there's plenty enough Bitcoiners with 21,000 packs once a year. Even just owning one pack, you're owning a piece of Bitcoin history, the culture in a pack of trading cards. So you don't have to go crazy. One pack and hold it for your kid, the same way people do with Pokemon cards that are not scarce, that are, I'll stay PR positive on this, but you can buy a pack of Pokemon cards where they print literally billions of packs a year, and only, I think, 5% of the people actually even play the game. Or you can buy one pack of Bitcoin trading cards and own something that is 100% unique to that set, only produced once a year. And you get to say to your kids, your nieces, nephews, whoever it might be many years from now, like, I have this pack from 2024, whatever it is. And they go, how did you get that? Because at that point, with as big as we plan to be, owning one pack of 21,000 is going to be a really special prize. So these are the kind of things that we think about when we are producing something that stands with the ethos of Bitcoin. 100% transparency, proof of work in everything we do. Finite supply, which does not exist really in the trading card space. You'd think like it's collectible. Of course, there's like a limited number of cards. No. 90% of these collectibles, there is no limited number. It's an open print, meaning if it sells really well, print more. We'll just keep selling it. That is completely, to me, it goes against everything that you would ever call a collectible. So with our cards, we have basically broken the mold of what has been going on in the trading card space for literally, I think we're going on 4 decades where it's just an open print. So the same way the fiat system is broken because it's an unlimited print, the collectible industry as a whole, whether it's comic books, trading cards, prints, posters, action figures, it doesn't matter. It's an open print. So is that a collectible? Is money truly worth something if you can print unlimited amounts, whether it's $100 bills or not? Eventually, we go into hyperinflation and your $100 bill gets you a dozen eggs, if you're lucky. So same thing with trading cards. So in order to teach someone the importance of money and scarcity, you got to meet them where they're at. And that's exactly what we're doing with these trading cards.
And Alladin, so are at this, if like you can only get it in the US, you can get it worldwide, how is the shipping process? How does that work for the general consumer?
Yeah, worldwide. So if you buy in the US, it's standard $5 shipping. And then if you spend X amount, then it's free shipping. Worldwide shipping, as you know, buying anything from anywhere, especially with customs, tariffs, everything going on right now, it's extremely expensive. So sadly, we cannot do free shipping worldwide, but we ship everywhere in the world. We've shipped to, I think, 100 countries now with our trading cards. So there's no country we won't figure out a way to get it to you. Even if the country says no, we will find a way around it. I take calls all the time from different customers from around the world. And even if I have to ship to someone within a country that is close to them, because we have such an amazing community, they will literally make sure it gets to them on the other side. So yeah, there's no country we won't find a way to reach.
That's very cool. Thank you so much. The last thing that I wanted to ask you is for you to give. Actually, I have two questions. So, the first one would be an advice for people who are generally like, if they want to start to be entrepreneurs like you in the Bitcoin space. And if you can also mention, like if they also want to start their project at Geyser. You were one of the first few projects that really started there and is still using Geyser actively. So if you can get advice for the people that are starting with that as well, that would be super nice.
Absolutely. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. Never had a W-2, so don't even know how to fill out one of those damn things. Um, the number one thing I have to say through my experience is, sorry, I'm getting a ding here. I'll stop that somehow. One sec. Okay. So if you're an entrepreneur starting out, or someone that's not an entrepreneur, even more important, because most entrepreneurs have gone through it, there are bull markets and bear markets, like anything. You have to push, and every win is great, but usually we don't learn from our wins. We learn from our failures. So never take a failure as a loss. Never take it as something to discourage you to the point where you give up. That's actually what we need. I've had so many businesses throughout my life that looked like I was going to the moon and this was it. And I'm telling my family it's all coming together. And literally 6 months later, I'm closing it down, trying to figure out what's next. It's hard. So don't get me wrong. It hurts when you have a business that you put your love, blood, sweat, and tears into and it fails. It hurts, but that's what we need in order to be able to take all of those learning curves and move on to the next step. Then in order to not beat yourself down, stop making the same mistakes. That's most important. What mistakes you made and the reasons why the other business or businesses failed, don't do that again. Learn from that and make sure that when you start your next one, you're paying attention to those failures, because it will start to sting a lot more when you make the same mistakes over and over, which I have done multiple times. So I'm speaking from experience on this one. And then the other big point is sacrifice. It's a lot of time. I've sacrificed most of my life savings in Bitcoin to push this company forward. You have to be willing to bet on yourself. And sometimes that means taking a bet away from something as powerful and important as Bitcoin. When you're a startup in the Bitcoin space, I have many friends that have businesses in the Bitcoin space. I've talked to your team about it a few times. That you do have to question and go, well, what makes more sense? Getting a fiat mining job and just stacking sats because we believe in Bitcoin so much, or potentially selling some of that Bitcoin to start my own business? So do I think my own idea is going to gain more momentum profit-wise for me personally than my Bitcoin stack? That's a really hard one in the Bitcoin space, and you really have to dive deep in your soul and ask yourself that question in order to literally spend your Bitcoin on your business, your startup. So sacrifice, and once you start, you can't stop. If you're willing to take that risk, you got to grind, you got to push, especially if you had to sell some of your Bitcoin to start your business. Well, now you better not turn back. At that point, you should be kicking yourself in the ass. If you did that and you stopped and lost your momentum, you better just go and go as hard as you possibly can. Late nights, early mornings, in the middle of a family crisis, if that's the case, you have to stop and figure it out and move on. Do your podcast, do everything that you can to push forward. Because unless you have a mountain of money behind you that is going to support your idea, it's all about the grind. And you got to grind hard when you're a startup. And anything less than that, unless you are just one of that one, and I wouldn't even say 1 in a million, I'd say 1 in 5 million ideas that just pops, you got to grind.
Thank you so much. It was such an inspiring conversation. Very nice to meet you.